This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today, too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
Welcome to the Eagles Checkdown, the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast there is. Covering news, notes, and opinions on your favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, right here on the Eagles Pinpoll Podcast Network. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, every single morning here. You can find me on all social media platforms with the tag at BeardAKnowledge. Greatly appreciate a follow. And hosting Trending in the AM, the number one morning show in Philadelphia on the STT Sports Network on YouTube. Link down below in the description of this show. Guys, it's Friday. It's December 20th. It's Eagles. It's Commanders. It's time to lock up the NFC East. It's time to continue trying to get that number one seat in the NFC. And it's time to just stay healthy. That's my theme this week for this game, staying healthy. There's a lot to discuss today. There's a lot on the agenda in a very short period of time. But my number one key is for this Eagles team to stay healthy. So first and foremost, let's look at Thursday's practice report. Most players were full participants in practice. Very few limited participants, and 0 people did not practice at all. The 4 names that practiced in a limited capacity: Sidney Brown, who's recovering from a concussion; Bryce Huff, who's still working his way back to this team with his wrist surgery and wrist injury; Landon Dickerson participated limitedly. Obviously, he was rest yesterday, but also with the knee. And A.J. Brown, who on Wednesday was limited because of rest, or did not participate because of rest, had rest on his name on Thursday, but also had knee. Obviously, he took a really tough tackle on the game on Sunday, and it was one of those hip drop tackles that the NFL is trying to avoid and eliminate. So I'm surprised he didn't have anything designated yesterday. He had one on Thursday designated. So, it's something to monitor. But let me tell you something. I was sitting here a few minutes ago before I was recording this episode and watching Landon Dickerson's mic'd up video and talking about, how hyped he was and, leading those troops into battle when he was talking them down out of the huddle to get set for the game. And I'm just sitting there thinking right before this video or this audio got recorded. And I'm like, all I care about is health. Detroit Lions, our biggest competitor for the NFC, well, on paper, our biggest competitors, they got 22 guys on IR right now. They're falling to pieces because of the injuries here late in the season, theoretically. I do not need to see any Eagles get hurt before the playoffs. We win on Sunday. The division is locked up. We're on pace to get the number 2 or 3 seat in the conference. That's all that matters. I would love the number 1 seat. Absolutely. We all would. We would all love home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We would love Detroit, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, any of those teams to have to come through Philly. Every team to have to come through Philly. But this Eagles team is special. This Eagles team is the number 1 defense in football. the number 6 offense in football, maybe one of the greatest running backs we've seen since Adrian Peterson won the MVP in 2012. It is a special season. We've overcome so many adversities in the locker room with drama, with Coach Sirianni, with Jalen Hurts, with Brandon Graham. All I want to do is stay healthy because this team has been able to overcome so much that the only thing that can stop them is themselves and injuries. So the number one goal on Sunday for me, I don't care about win and loss, and I think they're going to win, and we'll get into a score prediction in a minute and how I see them doing it. To me, all that matters is coming out of Sunday healthy. That's all that matters. Not having any more injuries, not having any more nicks and bruises, not having to worry about all week long, is a guy going to practice or not? Like, I just want to see us stay healthy because this Eagles team is poised to make a very deep run in the playoffs. And honestly, I saw on WIP, they're running a poll on there like they do every show, every day. You know, would you be disappointed if the Eagles didn't make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl? I forget what it was. And while it would be a disappointment, this season's had its ups and downs, the way it's played out, it really would be a disappointment if this team didn't make it to at least play in New Orleans on February 9th or whatever the date is for Super Bowl this year. So how do we win this game, lock up the division? So in theory, we can start considering resting guys. We go back and we look at when we played them a few weeks ago and won 26-18. How did we do it? Now, I know the Washington Commanders, Brian Robinson Jr. is talking about how, they're the best team and they believe it. They just haven't had the breaks go their way. I've heard some people in Washington talk about, it was a short week. They making excuses why they lost the first matchup against the Eagles. But the Eagles won the game pretty simply because they dominated the time of possession, because they ran Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley had one of his best games. Out of all the great games he's had this year, it was one of his best, 146 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over. They won the time of possession, basically 33-27. They won the turnover battle, 1-0. Washington made the one interception, or had the one interception. We didn't have any turnovers. So the Eagles just need to play a clean game on Sunday. They need to dominate on the ground. It's very hard to foresee Saquon getting the Eric Dickerson single-season rushing record, but Saquon Barkley needs to get the ball, needs to run the ball. We need to see a heavy dose of Kenny Gainwell as well, or at least heavier than he's gotten this year as he's performed well in limited roles. If we can do that, we should be able to beat the Washington Commanders. Terry McLaurin, everyone's hyping up outside of Philadelphia that Terry McLaurin's going to have this huge game on Sunday. Look, Terry McLaurin got shut down, locked down by Quinion Mitchell and Darius Slay in the last game. I'm not worried about Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels had a great season for a rookie, but the kid is just a kid. He is just a rookie. He's not prepared for this deep run. Washington, they don't need this win either. With the rest of their schedule, they can lose this game and still lock up a playoff game, even in a losing matter this week. Dallas, on a side note, Dallas needs the Eagles to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I got to say this. I'm getting a sand tangent here. I love that Micah Parsons, love him or hate him, he said that despite the fact that he needs the Eagles to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, that he could not root for the Eagles. And he said basically, bleep the Eagles. I hope they lose, even though that would kill their season because he hates the Eagles so much he doesn't want them to win. But deep down inside, Dallas isn't even our number one rival. It's Washington. It's the Giants. And then the Cowboys. Over the last 20 years, we've had bigger battles with the Giants and the Commanders and the Cowboys. Bigger threat from those teams as well. So how do I see it playing out? I see the Eagles do coming away with the win. I do see it being a hard-fought game, a close game. Right now, the line is at 3.5 points. That's where it opened. It moved to 4.5, back to 3.5. Eagles as the road favorite to win this game. How do I see it playing out? I see them doing their job and controlling the clock. I do see it being close, but I see Saquon Barkley hitting that 100-yard mark again. I see Kenny Gainwell getting about 10 touches this time, which is a lot more than normal for him. And I've said this every week, so this is going to be the week that Quinion Mitchell will get his first interception on Jaden Daniels. I hope, maybe, whatever. But I do see the Eagles taking this game 24-20. I just look at Washington, and I see that Washington, their offense is 6th in the league in scoring at 28.3 points a game. But the Eagles' defense is averaging giving up only 17.6 points per game. They've only given up more than 20 points 4 times this year. Haven't given up more than 20 points since Jacksonville in week 9, and that last score was garbage time. They're giving up 16, 15, 14, low to mid, teens in points on a weekly basis. 3 of the 4 times they gave up more than 20 were before the bye week. They've only given up 30 points the one time to Tampa. I just find a very hard time imagining a scenario where Washington can score enough to beat the Eagles. They're just not talented enough to score more than 20 points, which is what I got them at, 20 points. I can't see them going. To beat the Eagles are going to score 20, 24, 30 points in that range every single week. You got to find an offense that could keep up with the Eagles' defense and put points on the board against the Eagles' defense. And I just don't think Washington can do it. Having played them before this year, I could see them getting to 20 points, but I can't see Washington scoring more than that. So I got Eagles 24-20. Saquon Barkley with a touchdown, Kenny Gainwell with a touchdown, and Grant Calcaterra. Dallas got it at a big game, 5 catches the last time we played Washington a few weeks ago. Grant Calcaterra getting a big game as well. I see that happening. Guys, Eagles 24, Washington 20, NFC East locked up. That is how I see it playing out. Go Birds right here. Sorry, let me reset that for a second. This is the Eagles Checkdown on the Eagles Pin Pull Podcast Network. Go Birds and bubbles up.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write 1 million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.